Welcome to Rothline Live. My name is Larry Roth, and I will be your host for the evening. Basically, what I do on Rothline Live on the YouTube channel is provide people updates on what I and others at Rothline have been working on, uh, projects that we have in the works. I have completed and published and posted episode 5 of the Mistress of the Hex House video series. So it went live on Sunday. So I have it published. It's the one that's called Cold and Hungry in the Hex House. And essentially, what it was addressing was the last 5 years that the two ladies were held as virtual slaves in the Hex House by Carol Ann Smith. Episode 6 was going to be about the grand jury trial. I'm changing that because I had an outline for episode 5, and I wasn't able to put in all of the information that I wanted to put into that video. So I'm actually going to extend it over to episode 6. And again, I don't have a title for that video yet. Episode 6 is probably going to address, there was, well, at least 3 things I wasn't able to put in the video. One of them was the midnight burial where Carol Ann Smith had her 2 victims, Virginia Evans and Willita Horner, go and bury the dead dog in the backyard. So at midnight, Carol Ann Smith was up on a balcony, probably with a flashlight, giving orders to Virginia and Walita on what to do, on to dig a hole in the ground, put a dog in a homemade coffin, and then bury the dog in the ground. And then also there is William Patton, who was an attorney in Casper, Wyoming. He was practically a millionaire, and he owned oil stocks. And he, for whatever reason, in 1938, transferred 10,000 shares of that oil stock to Carol Ann Smith. So that was going to be in part of the story. I didn't have time to put that in episode 5. And let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, the mystery man. The mystery man. Now, this is interesting, and I wish that I could find out more information about this. I don't know the man's name. He's called the Mystery Man, and he's in one of the Tulsa World news articles from 1944. And during the trial of Carol Ann Smith, this mystery man, basically what the newspaper article said was that this mystery man did some favors for Carol Ann Smith, and he also feared for his life, and he was hiding from the police because he was afraid that Carol Ann Smith was going to have him killed if he got caught and revealed what she had him doing. There's a couple of paragraphs about this in one of the newspaper articles, and I've only come across just that one newspaper article that talks about the mystery man. I wish I could find out more information about it. I did contact the Tulsa World to see if they have archives, and unfortunately, I already have a copy of the archives because what they told me at the Tulsa World was that they kept the archives over at the downtown Tulsa library, which is the files that I was able to access and take a look at back in October of 2021. So I have everything as far as I know. I have the archives from the Tulsa World. But it was interesting. It would be interesting to know who the mystery man was, what the mystery man did. The article talks about how in the trial, Um, they call one of the deputies, put of the Tulsa Police Department deputies, up to the stand, and they interview him and ask them what he knows about the Tulsa Mystery Man. I mean, not the Tulsa Mystery Man, but about the mystery man in the case. And essentially, what he says is, I don't know what a mystery man looks like. I wouldn't know where to look, wouldn't know where to find him. And of course, Carol Ann Smith did not provide any information on who he was, what his name was, or where he was located, or what he did. But yeah, digging into the Hex House story, there's just lot of interesting tidbits of information that I come across where I really wish I could find out more information and dig deeper into the story. There was evidently a lot of stuff that went on that Carol Ann Smith did. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of documentation. And this did take place in 1944, which was about 80 years ago. Um, Archiving wasn't digital, of course. It wasn't maintained very well, and people probably thought after 40 or 50 years, who's even going to want to look at these old articles? But when you come across a case like the Hex House of Tulsa that really sparks an interest in people, um, it is nice to go and take a look at those articles and to find information about what happened and what went on. Um, and speaking of Carol Ann Smith, here's what I was thinking. I've been watching some shows. One of them is called The Dropout, and the other one was called Inventing Anna. Now, The Dropout is about Elizabeth Smith, who was an entrepreneur. Um, this is on the Hulu channel. Some of you may know about it, some of you may have seen it. But she was a biomedical entrepreneur and she wanted to live the rich life. So that comparison to Carol Ann Smith is very similar. And then Anna Sorkin, who used the name Anna Delvey, um, same thing. She wanted to live the rich life, and both of these ladies committed fraud and got a lot of money from investors, claiming that they had these projects that they wanted to work on that would benefit the community. The case of Elizabeth Holmes, she claimed that she was developing a biomedical device that could check a person's blood for diseases or disorders. Anna Delvey was wanting to create, if I remember correctly, a type of club that would help uh, promote or support women in the community. But what it turns out was these two ladies wanted to live the rich life, ended up committing fraud, getting millions of dollars from people. So the similarity between those two ladies and Carol Ann is that Carol Ann Smith wanted to be rich, and she had a rich life as a child. Her father was rich. He sent her to private schools. She married a man who was rich, and that man died. And she wanted to continue to live a rich life. So she used these two ladies as victims, kept them as slaves. She did let them go to work, and then she took their paychecks and kept their money and spent their money on nice things for her. She also committed fraud against the father of Virginia Evans, claiming that Virginia Evans needed medical and mental help, and uh, told the father, Tom Evans, that she had a private nurse that would take care of Virginia Evans and scammed him for $17,000. And so I saw some similarities between what has recently happened in the news and what happened in 1944. To continue on, other projects, I am getting back into the Bigfoot stories. I have one that I'm working on right now. Well, not right now, but I'm currently working on a Bigfoot story. It's called The Lake Conway Monster. And it's a story that took place in 1980. It's about an 11-year-old boy who, on his birthday, his father let him skip school, and they went to Lake Conway to go fishing. And while they were there fishing, they found a private cove or a secluded cove that they could go to and fish. And this Bigfoot steps out onto the shore of the cove. And of course, freaks them out. They can't believe their eyes. Um, and of course, they leave and then report this to the Texas Bigfoot Research Center. So I'm working on that story that I'm hoping to have ready by Sunday to publish it. So those of you that are interested in my Bigfoot stories, I should have that one available and posted, published on Sunday. So, and I'm also thinking I have an idea of expanding my niche. So in Oklahoma, we like to say niche, but outside of Oklahoma, they say niche. So I'll say niche. My niche has been focused on mythical creatures, paranormal stories, mysterious stories. I'm wanting to add in to my niche unique and interesting places. And the other day, I was reading about a mansion in Tulsa, Oklahoma, close to downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, that has been converted into a bed and breakfast. And I actually found out about this mansion because I was doing research on the Hex House, and this mansion has a similar style as the Hex House did. So I started reading about it, and it was built in the 1920s, around the same time as the Hex House was built. Um, and it was basically a basically a hotel that the Tulsa socialites of the 1940s and 50s, or 1930s, 40s, and 50s used to, go and have parties and mingle and talk to each other. And now it's a bed and breakfast. So that's going to be later this year. I'm going to check into that. I would tell you the name of the mansion, but I forgot the name and I can't pronounce it. If I could look it up real quick, I think it's Harwelden. Let me. Sorry, my keyboard is right up here. Harwelden. Well, if I could actually navigate the internet correctly. This is the great thing about doing stuff live is like you don't rehearse, you don't prepare, you can't edit, you just have to go with the flow and deal with stuff as it happens. Harwelden Mansion. Um, After I'm finished with this live video, I'll actually put a link to this in the video description just in case anybody's interested in taking a look. But it's called the Harwelden Mansion. It's close to downtown Tulsa. It has the same Gothic style as the Hex House had, and almost looks like the Hex House, except it's bigger. I mean, it's a mansion. So anyway, so that's something else I want to focus on is also adding to my niche, visiting unique and interesting places. I'll continue doing the Bigfoot stories. There's also some other stories in Tulsa, Oklahoma that are similar to the Hex House stories. There's some ghost stories that I've been researching that I plan to make some videos about that. Uh, what comes to mind is Will Rogers High School is supposedly haunted. So I would like to in the future make a video about that. And then the Brady Theater, although I believe they have changed the name of it, the Brady Theater is supposedly also haunted. So I would like to make a video about that also. So that is what I have as far as work in progress. So most of my time recently has been focused on the Hex House story. I've been trying to, I have the Tulsa World and Tulsa Tribune articles from the archives from the Tulsa Library. I've been trying to find out more information beyond those archives, which has been difficult to do. But I believe that I'm coming up with a good outline for the Hex House story. And then, as I've mentioned on other of these Rothline Live videos, is I will be interviewing, or I plan to be interviewing Gene Watson about the Hex House Haunted Attraction in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which will probably take place later this year in August. I've got about 28 Bigfoot stories from sightings that have occurred in Arkansas. It took anywhere from it ranges from encounters from the 1970s up to 2020. So I have some of those stories I need to put together and make some videos about that. And I believe that's it. That's my update. Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to try to keep doing this. I will, let's see, actually, what is it today, the 7th? On April 21st, Thursday, I have another event to attend. So I probably will not be able to do the Rothline Live on April 21st, but I do plan to do Rothline Live on April 14th and also April 28th. And if this continues to be fun and exciting, for me anyway, then I will keep doing these Rothline Live updates. So, thank you for your time. Have a great evening, and I will see you all next time.